I could not afford to have lived abroad if it were not for these scholarships. Hello and welcome to Cali Land. Who is Cali? That's me! Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, my name is Cali. I am from the US and I have been living in Germany for the past 2 years. And so today what I wanted to talk about on my very first video on my very new channel is I wanted to talk about how I moved to Germany. In 2014, I had the opportunity to be a part of a class that focused on Berlin in the 20th century. So this was a really cool opportunity that was actually only available to students who were in the honors college at my university. I was in the honors college because I am a huge nerd and an overachiever, and I am half Indian, so it just makes sense. Hence, the bindi, if you were wondering. Yes, I am half Indian, so please do not come at me with any cultural appropriation shit. Because it's not cultural appropriation if it's your own culture. Anyways, yeah, so I had the opportunity to go on this trip as part of the class, and I was really lucky to have been given a scholarship to do it, because otherwise I would not have been able to afford to have gone on this trip. My university was really expensive. So I got really lucky that I got a scholarship to be able to go on this trip. And then I think, I can't remember if one or both of my parents gave me money to go on the trip. But anyways, I had funding for the trip. It was really amazing. That was not my first time being outside of the US. It was actually my second time. My first time was going to Italy with a choir trip on my senior year of high school. Both of these times were only for like a period of 10 days. So going to Italy was only for 10 days, and going to Berlin at that time was also only for 10 days. I remember how excited I was on the plane. I was sitting next to one of my classmates, and the flight attendant comes up to us and she's just like, "Do you guys want some wine with your dinner?" And I don't know if my classmate was of legal drinking age. I, at the time, definitely was not of legal drinking age, but he and I were both just like, "Yeah, sure." And she kept giving us more wine, so we just got really drunk on the flight to Germany. But we stayed at this really cool hostel in East Germany called Ostel, which is near Ostbahnhof, and it was cool because it was like styled like the DDR kind of style. It was just such a fun 10 days. We did a lot of cultural stuff, but we also had time to like explore on our own. We went to bars in the evening. We tried to go to clubs, I think, but I don't think that wound up happening because we had like a pretty full like academic program while we were there. It wasn't just for partying. I remember when I got back to the US, I was like, I want to go back to Germany again. I don't want to be here. I want to be there. And I was really lucky because I was having a co-op come up. And if you don't know what a co-op is, then you did not go to Drexel University. For the Amis, a co-op is an internship. For the Germans, a co-op is a practicum. And my university is special because we do either 1 or 3 co-ops. I did 3 co-ops. Each co-op is 6 months long. And there's so much stuff that you can do for a co-op. Not just within the US, there's so many international opportunities. And so my school was partnered with a program called Cultural Vistas, and I'll leave a link to their website down below. I applied for this program, which was kind of like a job placement program, but they also gave scholarships too, which was really nice because I could not afford to have lived abroad if it were not for these scholarships. I cannot stress this enough. They kind of asked me what I was interested in doing while I was living in Germany, asked me where I wanted to live and stuff. I would kind of like to go back to Berlin again, please, because that was kind of all that I knew about Germany was just Berlin. That was kind of the only part of Germany that I cared about, because for me, it just seemed, it was a big city, and I really like big cities. It was very multiculti, which I really like. It seemed like a cool place to live. Now I see Berlin totally differently. I just think that it's expensive and a little bit overrated, and if you're from Berlin and want to, come at me in the comments, go ahead. I don't care. your city is expensive and overrated. But I really enjoyed my time living in Berlin, and I worked at an integration school for women with migratory backgrounds. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's just a very rewarding experience. I got to teach them some English, but I also helped out with some of the other classes sometimes. On Fridays, we would do sport classes. I taught a couple of yoga classes. I tried to do, you know, things with them that, yeah, they would enjoy. When it was time to leave Germany, I was really sad. I was leaving Germany at the beginning of April. I went to Germany in September, and I left at the beginning of April, which means that I missed Germany when it's actually nice. No shade, but winters in Germany are really, really tough. And if you're gonna move here, you need to know that in advance, because nobody told me until I got here. Everyone was just like, why did you come in the winter time when the summer is, you know, the best part? I didn't have a choice. Nobody asked me when I wanted to come. I'm just glad that I'm here. Cold damn, this sucks. It was funny when I went back to the US for the first time after living abroad for the first time. And I was definitely that person when I moved back. I wore like all black all the time. Oh, I'm so cool. I'm so Berlinerish now. I'm glad I'm not like that anymore. But I think the hardest part about moving back to the US was the fact that while I was in Berlin, I was 20 years old, which I was still able to legally drink alcohol. When I moved back to the US, it was 3 weeks before my 21st birthday, which meant for 3 weeks I wasn't able to drink. It's not like I'm a big drinker. I don't really drink that much, but it was more just the fact that I couldn't. Like, I had just spent 6 months living in a place where I could go and get a bottle of wine with my dinner without any problem, and now it was like, I can't do that because of some stupid law. I cannot do that. That really frustrated me a little bit, and that sort of solidified for me, like, wow, America's a dumb place to live. It made me want to not be in the US anymore. I already didn't want to be in the US at that point, but like definitely more so after that point. I was like, I need to get out of here. But for my second and third co-op, I wound up not going to Germany again. I wanted to go someplace different, so I spent my second and third co-op in China. Before I went on my third co-op, I decided to apply for something called a Fulbright, which if you don't know what that is, I will also leave a link in my description below. If you do know what that is, you should definitely check it out. It's a really great way to go abroad if you want to. Apparently also looks great on resumes. I don't know. I don't think anybody here cares that I have a Fulbright. It's not like they're gonna write on my gravestone, here lies Callie, she had a Fulbright. But it was a really great scholarship opportunity. I met a lot of really great friends through the Fulbright program as well, and I think what I liked the most about it was the fact that you can say that you want to like be in a specific Bundesland. However, I decided not to do that because I had already lived in Berlin, and I feel like that's the one place where everybody's like, yeah, that's where I want to live. So I just want to see something that's a little bit different. And so where I went to next was the Saarland. It is the smallest Bundesland in Germany. A lot of people make fun of the Saarland, and I don't quite understand why. Where people are like, oh, Saarland is just, it's so schlimm. Everybody said the same thing before I moved to Sachsen. They're like, oh, Sächsisch is so furchtbar. Can y'all just like chill on hating on each other's dialects? Yeah, so I lived in the Saarland. I lived in Saarbrücken. I worked in Homburg, but the Saarland's not very big. It was funny to me when people would be like, oh yeah, Saarbrücken's such a big city. I'm like, oh, no. Oh God, no. I moved there from having lived in a city of 10 million people in China. So I was like, this is a town. I worked as an English teaching assistant while I was in the Saarland. And that was for a period of 10 months. And then once those 10 months were starting to come to a close, I was like, how am I going to stay in this country? I could have applied for another year of the Fulbright. I actually did do that, and they wanted to place me in Hanover, which I thought about. I think what I had said in my application was that I either wanted to stay in the Saarland for another year, or I wanted to go to Leipzig. I had been to Leipzig back in 2014 on that trip to Berlin. We spent a day in Leipzig, and we went to the university as well. And I remember being in the university and thinking, wow, it would be so amazing if I could study here one day. That wasn't like in the back of my mind the entire time that I was, you know, gallivanting around the world. I didn't have a grand master plan. I kind of just like, this is one of my favorite English sayings, I fly by the seat of my pants. I just kind of do like whatever opportunity comes along for me. I'm just like, all right, I guess we're doing this now. I decided to apply for the Universität Leipzig because I wanted to get my master's degree in translation. And in Germany, there's only 3 universities where you can get a master's in translation. I remember having stood in the university in Leipzig and having that thought of I would love to study here one day. And so that's what I did. I packed up everything that I had in my tiny room in the Saarland. I rented a car and I drove my car, you know, 5 hours on the Autobahn to Leipzig. I knew that I wanted to move to Germany when I was in the 8th grade and I started learning German. But I don't think that it was ever like a conscious goal for a long time, because I think that if you only focus on one goal all the time, you kind of shut out other things that could be really interesting to you and can help shape you as a person. It was something that just kind of sort of happened that way. I was able to take advantage of my good grades and the opportunities that my university had, and I guess that's like my big advice that I can give to anybody who wants to come to Germany and live here is look at the way to get your foot in the door. It's definitely a lot easier to stay here, I feel like, once you get here, but I think getting here winds up being the hard part. Look at the programs that your school or your university offers, or maybe in your community. If your university is not necessarily affiliated with a certain program, you can still apply externally a lot of the time. If you already have your bachelor's, for example, it's pretty easy to get into a German university to do a master's program if you already have your bachelor's. So yeah, that's how I moved to Germany. There was a part of me that really just wanted to make this video and just be like, how did I move to Germany? By plane. That was it. No, I'm not gonna do that to you guys. I'm gonna try my best to make videos that are really interesting for you guys. If you guys want me to make videos in the future in German, then schreibt das mal in die Kommentare. If you guys have ideas for videos that you want to see from me, for things that you want to see in Leipzig, then also let me know in the comments. I'm here to serve you. Ja. Oh, this was fun. Es hat mich sehr gefreut. Also, ja. Vielen Dank für das Zuschauen und bis zum nächsten Mal. Tschüss.